Okay. Oh. Hello, Aurelio. Wonderful to see you. Let's test your sound also. Can you say something? Well, you have to, somebody has to unmute you. Yeah.
Yes. Now, can you hear me?
Very good. Very good.
Sorry for coming a bit late. Happy to see everybody.
Oh, you're
Looking forward. Oh, Jörg is also there. Beautiful.
Hi, Aurelio.
well,
So
we got some real nice feedback like in the olden times.
yeah. Let's see where it's coming from. And the child is also there. Beautiful. No?
A Chinese child in Austria, in Salzburg, talking about music.
Really.
Yeah.
And this Dr. Vera is also there.
Yeah, Vera is here. I just muted her.
Yeah. All the best. All the best.
That's wonderful. Okay, it's right in time. Are you wanting to play something, Aurelio, as an introduction?
No, I will not interfere. Let's like open it and then we see.
It would have actually been a nice idea if somebody wants to do a little chant or some song. Okay, you go ahead, Aurelio. That would be very nice as an intro.
It's always the process in how this in the Indian background that we tune. You know, we tune the instruments with the occasion. Sorry, just a moment. So what I will do, maybe in the context of the time cycle, we're having tomorrow new moon. We're working here in our unit always with the monthly rhythms. We have to be aware because there are all the different celebrations of the stuff, and it helps us to go actually through the yearly rhythm. We go along with the monthly cycles. And I'm just doing a small tuning for that new moon occasion tonight and tomorrow. We can tune into the drone of the tambura, the underlining sound, with the possibility of sensing the sound in our bodies. And I will just add a bit of my voice with it. You're very welcome if you hear the sound clear enough to hum with it. Inviting you for a closing hum together, just let's feel that we are alive, vibrating.
Thank you very much for this very vibrant welcome and initiation into the evening. And I'm especially first welcoming Wahida, Shaikh, who will be our first contributor tonight. And then Aurelio, we just heard, he will probably be the second one to follow up. And then Krishnendu, who just switched off his video, but he is, hi Krishnendu, he's responsible for one of the largest biodynamic farms in the world. And another one who has only very short time to attend today is maybe the largest, the biggest biodynamic farmer in the whole world. That is Helmy Abouleish. And I have asked him just, I think today, to be our contributor in our next session. We'll have to change the date, most probably, but it will be probably end of April, because we want to find out what is actually association. This is called World Goetheanum Association. What does it actually mean, association? And Helmy has quite a lot of experience in that. And I'm always interested in practical experience and not only theory. So Helmy, I give you the stage to make your voice heard also tonight.
Thank you very much for this invitation, Walter, and I'm really looking forward to share with a little bit of time our story of association, the Sekhem story of association, the Sekhem story of economy of love in our words, Iqtisad al-Mahabba in Arabic. I don't know how much time you want to give me now, Walter, because I understand that you have contributions to come, and I just wanted to share with you that I'm happy to have this connection to you in the east of from my direction, and I think it's very, very important to establish such east-west, south-south connections, especially in our time, to learn from each other, to exchange, to inspire. And I'm looking forward to learn as much as hopefully I can inspire some of you.
Thank you very much, Helmy. This is today about research and innovation. And as far as I have followed Sekhem since it started in 1976, I believe that is now 46 years, right?
45 years, 1977.
1977, right? It has been one run of innovations based on research, spiritual research put into practice, up to the founding of an actual university some years ago. So you would have to add quite a lot. Maybe you give just one example of a recent innovation. I know one which I'm very excited about, but maybe you share one which what comes to your mind, something that lately was invented or found out in Sekhem.
I will try to make it very short, but our current most interesting innovation from my point of view, you mentioned that we are biodynamic farmers in the desert here in Egypt. The same as Cambodia is doing and many, many other farms and organizations. And it's really not important who is the biggest. The important is who is doing the best job to the soil, to the plants, to the animals, to the agricultural organism. And then there is always this big challenge, but we producing biodynamic products, we are producing the best quality and very nice taste, and everyone loves it, but it's too expensive for the poor people of Egypt. And then we start to export these products to Germany or I don't know where, and do not use them in our own countries. Now, just 3 years ago, we recognized that a very good biodynamic farmer is not only doing very good biodynamic farming and has good products, but he is also doing a huge service to the ecosystem in regard to this climate change challenge we are all facing, the whole world is facing. And to give you just a few numbers for you to see the impact of what I'm trying to say, farming is a big part of the problem of climate change, yes, in the past, and currently still over all the globe and in Egypt. But farming has the solution, the only sector I know which can sequester CO2 into soils and trees. Everybody else can just reduce. So we are the solution at the same time as we are the problem. And the nice thing is, which we found out in Sechem through action research, which we always try to apply, that a good farmer can sequester from 10 to 15 tons of CO2 per acre. And 10 or 15 tons of CO2 per acre in trees and plants and compost and many, many different things are an income, an additional income for an Egyptian farmer, more than what he gets for his potatoes, cotton, or wheat. So now we are working with 2,000 farmers to prove this and upscale it from Sechem to the society, to just prove that the CO2 which we sequester is this value, and then we create carbon credits, and then we sell the carbon credits on the voluntary market, and we give an additional income. And this is a game changer, because now we have 40,000 farmers who want to join, because their income will improve when they sell at the same price as conventional neighbors in the local market. So I think this is a social innovation with the potential, first, to stop climate change. On the bigger scale, we farmers of the world can reduce the impact or the CO2 in the atmosphere by 30 to 50%. Only we farmers, everybody else should also work. But at the same time, we can improve the livelihoods of our farmers by 100%, giving them this, this fair payment for their carbon credits. So I think it's a win-win, and I'm trying to promote it for COP27, which is in Egypt, to all of my networks, friends, the World Goetheanum Association and the Biodynamic Federation, and so on and so on. And I'm really happy to share with you more if you want to know more details on the issue.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you have many different innovations to share, but this was exactly the one that I heard about some weeks ago. I was so excited about. I know that you met the German Secretary of the Foreign Affairs, and you are going to meet her again at the COP in Egypt. So this is really, really great news. And yes, a game changer, I think. I think we will now have to go to Wahida. Thanks very much, Helmy. And Wahida, I met actually at the World Goetheanum Forum in September 2019, when we were still able to travel normally. And we have had quite a nice long distance relationship, may I say, over the time. And our maybe greatest achievement together was in, I think, December 2020, the One Health Conference, Asia Pacific Conference, organized by the Anthroposophical Society, I think, of India, and with a lot of contribution from the Philippines. Philippines and India mostly organized it, and it brought together agriculture, medicine, and pedagogy. And that, by the way, is also the topic of today. And it's also going back to Rabindranath Tagore and Rudolf Steiner, of course. In 12 years ago, I did a lecture in Manila at the 150th birthday of Steiner, so 10 years ago, about Tagore, Steiner, and Rizal, which is the Philippine hero. And all three of them have something in common. They have a root in Goethe. So please, Wahida, thank you very much for being here. We're excited to hear from you.
Thank you very much. And namaste and greetings from India to each one of you. And first of all, myself, Wahida, I would like to thank World Goetheanum Association and Walter and respectful Helmy and my colleagues and all our experts and dignitaries, in this every aspect, and the committed friends and colleagues. Thank you for being here. And I have got a wonderful opportunity to share with you whatever we are, with a little we are started to do. And so let me begin with our verse. Right. So before we begin, because this verse, it really touches me and I'm extremely inspired by that. This, may wisdom shine through me. May love grow within me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of humankind, a server of sacred things, selfless and true. Goetheanum. So, yeah, I'll start the screen. Right. This today's topic, education, healthcare, agriculture, and art in well-being. So 4 years ago at the World Goetheanum conference, as Walter mentioned, in Donna, we presented our project, One Health, where medical professionals, educators, and farmers come together on a mission. So this was much appreciated, and a portion of the funds we received here were used to found the Swasthya Niketan Foundation, which was founded on 27th November 2020 and inaugurated on 14th December 2020, the 100th year of anthroposophic medicine. Well, so our team, that time when we came to Goetheanum, there were educators who were represented by, founder's daughter and teacher from Young Horizon School, Kolkata. And Sandeep Kamath represented Sundarini Biodynamic Farming, Kolkata. And Wahida represented Anthroposophic Medical Movement. So this initiative is inspired by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, founder of the Shanti Niketan, Award of Peace, Vishwa Bharati World University, as many of you may know, near Kolkata. He said, the way forward to the new age is the East and West join hands in the pursuit of truth, and also encouraged coming together of education, agriculture, health, and art. The Swasthya Niketan, Abode of Health, brings this impulse to the area of healthcare, where the traditional medical systems of the East complement the Western integrated modern medical system and Pacific medicine, founded by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, as we all know, and practiced around the globe for the last 100 years. So the Swasthya Niketan Abode of Health, which we founded, has a vision of Swasthya Niketan is in being an abode for holistic and integrative medical system based on research and best practice in the world for providing customized and personalized patient-centric healthcare. And we also believe in health for all, and for the future development of humanity and earth. So hence here we have 4 key initiatives under this foundation. One is Swasthya Niketan hospitals and daycare centers. Then we have Aushadhi Niketan, Award of Medicines for research, production, and promotion of green, safe medicines. And Swasthya Kala Niketan is Award of Healing Art, training for art therapy. And Hriday Niketan, Award for love and seniors care. So we have looked at what is important and needed right now in the planet, and we have tried to incorporate all of that under this foundation. So our mode And I mean, aim and mode of operation is to connect communities and to have an integrative and complementary approach to healthcare, to associate and collaborate with other organizations and institutions having a similar vision. Here we started, as you know, I told you 14th of December 2020, and last 15 months. So we have taken certain activities. So this, we have two aspects of it: Swasthyaniketan Integrated Healthcare Specialist Clinic, which is daycare, which is in Bangalore, Koramangala, and also Swasthyaniketan Vijaya Multi-Speciality Hospital in Bangalore, Kengeri. So these two centers, because this foundation, actually we founded myself and my friend. So we both of us already had our health setups. So we have incorporated this integrative medical system in this already existing clinics and hospital. And we also conduct multiple workshops, because it is when we went online because of the COVID situation. So we have contributed that way in lectures and topics, more important of importance of sleep, importance of nutrition, rhythm, and then breastfeeding, vaccines, and the challenges of early childhood, parenting, and of course, cancer palliative care or any other palliative care. So we also have one minute. So here, what we are looking at is we want to have 50 centers in 50 villages, 5 fully operational hospitals, 10 palliative care centers, and 10 Swasthyaniketan care units in major hospitals, already integrating that. So now we are hunt is for location to house Swasthyaniketan campus, research and training center. And as a whole complete system that people could literally visit and see this aspect, which we are inspired by the Filter Clinic in Germany and Clinic Arlesheim, Switzerland, looking at. So we are also keen on doing research. So our research team, headed by Dr. Kaushik Mandal, contributed a poster presentation of a single case study at the World Conference, Society of Integrative Oncology, Maryland, USA, in September 2021. And research on anthroposophic medicine is initiated at 2 premium research institutes in India, as a government appointed and private university, which is also a part of, if you want to go to the government for recognition, all this is required and documentation is required, as you all know. Thank you. Well, so we have the second main aspect is Aushadhi Niketan. Now here we are also looking at research, continuing research, production and promotion, use of green safe medicines. We are doing this in association with biodynamic farmers and have started processing organic and biodynamic medicinal herbs and oils. So we do this compress, like Euro compress, cloths, kind of set, and basic oils, and we package and we give to our patients, and which are used for external therapies. And also we are working on getting, already doing it with yarrow, rosemary, chamomile, etc. for ingestions as tea. And Swasthyaniketan, under this Aushadhi Niketan, is about the medicine making unit, is empowering youth from our biodynamic movement to produce these herbs in a community supported medicine model. Last time I was very much inspired about this aspect, and we have started. So Sandeep Kamath, who is helping us throughout, is our advisor for conversion to Demeter, and Krishnendu, Chatterjee and Vinita Shah, thank you, helped us to find the plants from the Himalayas for research. And so we are working towards making anthroposophic medicine being easily and economically available in India and getting it registered with the authorities. So now we go to the third unit of Swastika Niketan Foundation is Swastika Kala Niketan. It's a board of healing art. So in this COVID-19 pandemic, our team, we have a very wonderful team of 7 of us, went online to conduct workshops, lectures in multiple national and international annual events. And we conducted 2 mega international events on 15th August 2020 and 2021 on the topic Healing with Art, Freedom from Fear. And we are going to continue this Healing with Art as a, a celebration of freedom ongoingly. And we also conducted workshop on international seminar celebrating World Yoga Day on art therapy, also a necessity to enhance immunity. And here we conducted multiple workshops on importance of art in education, medicine, and for well-being. And we are really taking care of, caregivers. And here, one thing we want to include is children. Nowadays, past 2 years, children are, it's very difficult for them because they are at home and stuck to this cell phones. Now taking them to outside world, they do nature study or they watch, they examine, and through art, I realize, because it is the language of heart, I felt it's easy to connect to people, to children and everybody, through art. So we are doing that, and we are planning to make Swastika Niketan a full-fledged art therapy training center, institute, and collaborate with major art institutes in the country and abroad. The process is on. Now comes the fourth one, Hriday Niketan. It's about of love and care for seniors. So because of due to COVID-19 pandemic, we have not started the operations of creating activity centers and residential facilities for seniors. Have onboarded several caregivers. We are training caregivers to give seniors external therapies, compressors, massage, and whatever we do, basic caregivers training, which you would have done actually in the hospital setup. We are creating that in their homes where they are right now. So we are planning for residential facilities soon. That's how I said in the campus, we're looking out for that. And now currently we are associated with the Anthroposophic Medical Society India chapter and its activities, including physicians training, international postgraduate medical training, and regional events of the annual conferences in Goetheanum. Thank you. Well, we are trying something. Thank you. It's ongoingly with, yeah, but I feel when I was preparing for this, I realized earlier I thought we have not done anything much, but when we were in the process, then I said, yes, we have done something and inspired to do something more and be open to receive,
Walter, you're muted.
Yeah.
Thank you. You should be muted, not me. Thank you. Thank you. I noted down a few questions, so I'm very curious, but I'm holding back because we planned it actually so that we have the first three the three contributions first, right? And then we go into the question answer phase. Is that okay? Can everybody hold back? And maybe you note your questions on paper. If you're not so well with a memory like me, I have to note it down. No, okay, great. Then we would go to Aurelio already, who gave us this beautiful introduction. And are you ready, Aurelio? Aurelio, I met in 2000. Wait a second. I'll first have to mute you. Yeah, I met in 2009 when we visited Oroville for the first time, and yeah, we struck up a friendship, and we've been in touch ever since. We have been building installations together. We brought them into our projects in China, sensory experience fields, and just in these days now, we will have a date. It was just canceled. We were going to have a date tomorrow, but it was canceled. It will be a few days later. And hopefully we'll build the first sensory experience field in India together. And Aurelio has built up an amazing place and an amazing business there in Auroville. Auroville itself is an amazing place. And he started also as a farmer, an organic farmer in Australia. And he has traveled many roads within and without. One time we were planning a week-long workshop, I think, with Manfred Bleffert. It was called The Gold Within. And he's living in this place, Auroville, which has this amazing golden cupola. Auroville, even in the name, it has the gold, right? So let's listen to the story of Aurelio and his business, which is called Svaram, which is built with, people, youngsters from the road, from the street, one could say, and what he has made out of that. Thanks for being here, Aurelio, and excited to hear your story.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I feel actually a bit humbled in the presence of this amazing diversity of people.
Can we make it a little louder, Aurelio?
Can we make it a little louder? Yes. Okay. I said I feel humbled in the presence of this richness of India and Asia, especially. I'm very touched.
Aurelio, your voice is not heard.
How about now? Is it better now?
Now, yes.
Yes, little bit better. Okay. So maybe I should sing. No, maybe that would be the solution.
No, we like to hear something about you.
Yeah. I'm very happy actually at the onset that we're meeting in the context of how anthroposophy is actually also working in Asia, because I think that one of its origin, its roots has been through the Theosophical movement in Chennai, which is just a few hours north of here, and Mrs. Veera Panch is actually there in Chennai, based there. I feel very fortunate that on my journey I had left Europe when I was 19, and I lived and traveled all over the world for 5 years. Lived mostly with indigenous people in the South Pacific region, New Zealand, Australia. I stayed with Aborigines, Maoris. I was looking for the origin of life and origin of humanity. But then coming back to Europe, it basically took me 5 years to round the planet, and I was chopping along. And when I came back, I felt very fortunate that I got in contact with some teachers in the anthroposophic movement, which was so important and inspiring and meaningful for me. And it started, as you said, with planting, doing organic gardening in the cycles of the moon, and learning music. And I actually, those teachers I met that time, they were really masters, which in India we would consider them gurus and masters. And sometimes I had to do a pilgrimage to the Swiss mountains or to Germany. I was hitchhiking for 3-4 days to arrive at those places in Augsburg. And for me, what happened, it was this reconnection to this lineage, the European lineage of Greek culture, and then the German idealism. And very inspiring for me after this, having gone out of Europe and thought there's nothing for me there in Europe. For me, the touching ground with the anthroposophic teachers I had the fortune to work on it, they really determined the further course of my life. At one point, actually, when I then decided that I would come and follow that call to Auroville, I remember one of those teachers in harmonic science, in Pythagorean science, he actually said, how possible that I can come back to India and this is going back into the past, it's not the forward movement into true individualization and all of that. But I think maybe he didn't have an image, and myself I didn't have that image of what Auroville actually is standing for, and that it is a place which you had mentioned before, a place of synthesis, where the best of the, how to say, the best of the Western culture and of the Eastern culture have a meeting ground, and it are actually not only in an idealistic setting, but in the challenge of manifesting and transforming our day-to-day activities and all the challenges we are facing in life, in development work, in context where things just don't work as smooth as in Europe. So it was a long journey. I came from the cultural field and had created the first cultural center. I was interested in the human-centered approach of UNESCO World Heritage. I thought we have to go back to the roots, that we know what was there and what can we harvest from there to bring into the future, because the vision of the future which we were given by the founder or the philosopher of Auroville, was actually about a transformation of the human species, that we are only maybe we are species in transition, we are maybe only halfway in front of our perfection, we have a long way to go. So there is this grandiose future of actually even physical, organic transformation, social transformation, technical transformation, the whole transformation of life on earth, with the promise of a golden age or a life divine on earth, and it goes step by step. Yeah. So I came from the cultural field. I was in performing arts with music and theater, and then created a cultural center in the villages, because at that time we did this PRA, participatory rural appraisals, working with the school children of the villages and finding out what are the treasures, the cultural treasures, what are the unique skills in the villages, what are the unique plants. And it was very beautiful, because for the school children it was like a treasure hunt. They had to interview the old people in the village, they had to find all the specific, where were the herbal medicines, where was the biggest tree, who in the villages had special skills, who was the best mason and carpenter. And then the whole adventure started, and discovering actually that in Tamil culture, we are here in the south of India, in Tamil Nadu, which we sometimes say it's the Africa Indias, because it is as hot as it is in the tropical belt, but there are very ancient roots in the culture. We have in the literature, in the texts we are having, they're going back to 3,000 years. So my interest was, how do those ancient roots connect with the vision of the future transformation of humanity? And fairly quickly, after a few years working in communication, in trainings, social rural development workers, we had an organization where we sent 40 young people into the villages, worked in 50 villages around Auroville. Very soon actually it came to me that the only real change happens when we can offer work to those people. At that time we had a heavy gang fight in one of the villages, which basically killed 14 people, eye to eye, tooth for tooth. And then I said, no, we have to change it, we have to get working. And basically I started, one skill I had was instrument making. And in theater music, many of my instruments, they always got broken, so we started repairing those instruments. And now, after about 18 years, we have a team of 55 people working, and we are exporting our instruments in 33 countries. And we are in a constant, evolving, growing process, very interesting. Now, in the last 2 years of the lockdown, where many companies went into crisis momentum, especially the artisans, the therapists, the musicians, all the performing artists. It was terrible. All their sustenance of life basically broke off because many of them work on the streets, casual labor, work in the tourism industry, and there was no movement anymore. Exceptionally, actually, Svaram, we didn't have even, there was 1 month of this government ban where everything was closed. But since then, actually, the crisis gave us an opportunity to re-evaluate, to see where we are. Are we really touching and working with the essentials? And what do we have to innovate on the level of, how to say, of human interaction, on the level of organization, and the products and services that we offer. So the lockdown gave us an amazing opportunity to actually, how to say, introspect and re-evaluate and change a little bit the course of our direction. Online was one thing which was very difficult in our transition because we work in expressive arts therapy, in music therapy, and we always felt the direct transmission and the human one-to-one contact is essential in those processes, but we're learning about it. I'm very happy actually, just today is the end of the finance year in India, the last of March, and we could offer our employees actually an extra month of salary from the energy we generated, how to say, over the last year. I have a small, there's a video here, just 5 minutes. I would like to share it with you to give you a perspective from the big variety of the work which we are undertaking, from the basic crafts work and industrial production. On the other hand, working with neurologists on holistic healthcare and the place of sound, vibration, and music therapy in it. So I think Zach has prepared a film. We show it for 5 minutes. It's running. Please open your senses, see what inspires, what touches you, and then maybe we can reflect together about it. the 5 elements are reflected in all dimensions of the work, and they can give us such a very beautiful, coherent structure and framework. We're slowly moving on, rolling along. Yeah, I hope that gave a bit of an impression of the different activities we are doing. One thing which I wanted to emphasize, because I saw this young volunteer from Iran, actually, we have volunteer young people from all over the world, and I basically credit them that they helped to co-create this project. We had this rural youth at risk with problems of alcohol and domestic violence and unemployment. And then we had these international volunteers who are coming to Arville, and they have regulated programs for 6 months and 1 year. And basically this beautiful process of peer learning between the local population and this international young people coming in, who really, without them, we never would have been able to build the project to what it is at this moment. I just came back 2 days ago from Kerala, where I had been at the lounge of a clinical well-being center of somebody, a foundation from Dubai, actually from a Muslim family, who have one of the best hospitals in India. They are the foremost hospitals in transplant work, heart transplant, lung, kidney transplants. And at the same time, now they're reaching out, and I'm on the advisory board, basically, what can we bring in, what we call it HICAM, holistic, integrative, complementary alternative healthcare. And sound actually plays a very important part. I just opened an email before from the Association of Indian Healthcare Providers. They published a book on sound music and its healing quality, and they asked me actually to preview and read the book. So I'm actually astounded from this grassroots work of working with those people and youth at risk, actually, in this co-creative, very dynamic field, actually, that we can work at the same time with international capacity and very on the cutting edge in that field in which we are sitting in India, in a small rural community. We are connected with some of the foremost specialists in the field I'm working with in sound and preventive health care. I hope that gives an image of it. I think we are within our time. I'm very much looking forward to hear from everybody, and stay in contact and be open for your questions.
Thank you, Aurelio. We'll just directly pass over to Krishnendu. Aurelio has done a lot of work with underprivileged youth. Krishnendu will continue in this line and tell us about how biodynamic agriculture, similar to the music that Aurelio is dealing with, has brought some good to the rural communities that Krishnendu is working with in Assam. I have never met Krishnendu in person. We have known each other from many Zooms, but interestingly enough, I feel like he's a very good brother to me. And we must have known each other before. So thank you very much for being here. And let's listen. We have to consider one thing with, we have to make sure that your presentation really gets shared. Can you share?
Yes, I tried. Yeah.
Because Aurelio's did not, on my screen, it did not appear big. It was still fine, but it did not appear large.
I'll try. I'm just trying it.
Sure, let's try. It should actually be possible. I've given the right.
Yes.
All righty, sounds good.
What I'll do, hello,
We
Walter,
see-
I'm asking one of my colleagues to help me out on this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get it difficult.
Yeah. We just see now the something about Zoom. So obviously you are sharing already, but maybe you have to share something different still.
Yes.
Maybe that's not your presentation. Anyway, you can already start talking while somebody is helping you, maybe, if you like.
Yes.
Yay. Getting
Hopefully.
better and better. Yes.
Is it visible?
You still have to click, I think.
Yeah.
We only see the overview of your different files so far.
Okay.
I think you have to click still. Wait a second.
Has it come?
No, it's still the overview. I still see the overview of your files, presentations.
Yes.
Wait a second. Okay, there we are. It's working.
Okay. Before I start, Walter, I must thank Wahida ma'am and Mr. Abouleish for the very inspiring works and words. And I was wondering, a beautiful work explained by Aurelio. Actually, I was speechless while experiencing their overviews and talks. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. I can see you be here. Thank you, Peter, for being here. And thank you, all of the participants who have kindly joined us. Many years back, I traveled to Sikkim in Egypt, and I was fortunate to meet Dr. Abouleish and meet Mr. Helmy Abouleish there. And I would understand from there what a good project can be founded on Demeter beliefs. From that time, I had a passion to do something in India and in manifold, which can touch base the human lives. And my journey started from many, many years back when I studied agriculture, and that was the time when internet was not available. But my university has beautiful collection of books, and I was fortunate to have a copy of Agriculture by Rudolf Steiner, which was quite contrary what was being taught in our university. So that stayed in my mind for many, many years. And then I understood that Indian people, especially the farmers who are marginal, who are small, they actually practice Demeter agriculture without knowing it, because it is in their gene for many, many decades. So in this presentation, I'm going to showcase a garden called Cheraido Parvat in Assam. So which is one of my youngest tea estate in Assam. And we have acquired that garden in 2015. So the story goes like this. In 2014, I was visiting one of my tea estates in Assam, other tea estate, and I was going to a tea estate which was visibly was abandoned, and the tea trees were growing taller than me. And it was a momentarily visit to that garden. I understood that the garden has been abandoned for many, many years. It has beautiful landscapes, and over there I have seen the most luxuriant growth of teas forever. For my query, I brought some tea leaves from that garden. And since I was visiting Assam gardens, other Assam gardens, I compared the bricks level of those tea plants, and I was starting to understand that those gardens, this leaves bricks was very, very high. And the atmosphere of that garden gave me a feeling that if cared, this garden can be turned around very quickly. And you may call coincidence, or I call it fortune, that my company acquired that garden just a year back, after that incident. So the journey of Cheraido Parvat started here. I just give you a genesis of the tea estate. This is one of the biggest garden in Assam today, and it is spread across 1,100 hectares, and it's having beautiful landscape. Also is known for historical reasons, because the kingdom of Sukhafa kings was in Cheraido. Sukhafas are those people who are basically originated from Thailand, and they ruled this part of India over 650 years. And they actually fought Britishers with great courage and kept their kingdom intact and sovereign for many, many years. So once we enter Cheraido Parvat tea estate, you have a feeling that it's a different area somewhere else. So, like when I think of an ailing tea estate, the first thing that comes across our mind is that healing of land and purification of human spirit is one process that was quoted by Masanobu Fukuoka years back. And all we know that it's not the inability of the land to produce more, but the unjustified greed of human beings to produce more than the optimum that brings agricultural failure and societal decline. So this is a landscape of Cheraido Parvat tea estate in Assam. So this is the history of Cheraido Parvat. So this garden at the moment is certified by different standards of organic and biodynamic agriculture. It is having 1,300 workers, and it houses total human population there over 7,000. This garden has been, designed to improve the quality of life through Demeter agriculture. And what we have done, basically seeing is believing, and what people would understand from there, we made sure that they feel different as they practice organic and Demeter agriculture, and see slowly the impact of it in their lives. So first important work was to make people understand in the garden that farming is an inclusive work that takes care of the nature and every stakeholder of the nature, starting from the microbes to the animals to the plants to human beings. So it has to work together and in tandem to make agriculture possible. So far from the belief of industrial agriculture, which they have seen so far, using a lot of tractors and trailers and heavy machineries and barrels of compost and pesticides, this was far different. And they came to believe that what they are doing, it not only improved the farms, but I strongly believe the spirituality of individuals. So one of the indicators of a good farm is, of course, the yield and the quality of the produce, but it has always been my radar to scale up the quality of life and see the healing processes that transit into communal harmony and cooperation. And to make it tangible, we have kept the charts and the figures of different human ailments as is reported, and any sort of conflicts, social conflicts that was very rampant at one time at the garden. And so these were the indicators for me for a better farming practices, because we the farm believer that a good agricultural practice not only supply good foods, it translates into human beings improvement and societal development. So this was my KPIs before we start any of the project in Demeter, because over the years we have transformed 17 tea plantations, all of which were sick, abandoned, closed at one time. And the first job that you do is to make a community compost heap to lay foundation for the future. And over the time, this has been our KPIs for gauging the progress of Demeter agriculture. So these were the figures that we have been measuring over the years, that how ailments have reduced over the years of practicing organic agriculture and Demeter agriculture especially. And hospitals keep record of those ailments, and we could see with pleasure the reduction in every year. And today, like it has been normalized, if I may say so. So these are the projects, like whenever we brought concept of Demeter agriculture in the farm, and the joy of working is that to give back. And company has actually, gone into different projects of fair trade and also own projects, which give employees little freedom and to make their own wish list to materialize. So these are the different social projects that you have been doing. The last project that we are, engaged with is about solar lighting system of every household. So these are some of the splashes from the different projects which we are at the moment doing. But the core of every work remains in the Demeter farming. So this is the quantity of compost and different biodynamic preparations that the garden make, and we have scaled up the production over the years. We have also introduced more compositions on barrel compost and other preparations for soil fertility improvement. This garden remains as an indicator for what could have been done to improve the soil quality through biodynamic agriculture.
People are who transform the places, know the idea. You need to have the perfect team.
So these are the glimpses of biodynamic practices in the garden. What you could see from the top is our biodynamic center, which is, and this center does not only cater the training purpose for the garden workers and the management, but it is a free center for everybody around. And our joy is that we have been, successfully converted many rice growers around the garden to Demeter farms. They are not officially certified by Demeter, but it's the joy of the farmers to be practicing Demeter farming, same yield or better yield than the conventional farming. So this center was designed to disseminate the biodynamic philosophy and the sciences to the society. Like whenever a new management staff or worker joins the company, it is mandatory for him to get trained here. But we also make it possible that any interested person around the garden, around the society, who may easily come down and understand biodynamic farming. So these are some of the glimpses of the projects, like what we do in the garden. So these are the glimpses like compost heaps, the barrel compost, the CPPs, the vermi compost, the windrows of the compost. So this was my end slide for this. I mean, but I wanted to tell you more. I mean, what goes beyond the your presentation is this, that it is not, like we have been seeing agriculture being accused as a global emitter of greenhouse gases, as Mr. Abouleish was talking, and you also the solution lies herein. So we have to understand that what Demeter farming and farms bring forth human lives. So it's the synergy that it brings about, the synergy between human beings, animals, nature, and every stakeholder of the nature. It gives a joy of understanding each other and respect. Today, the world is divided and make chaotic decisions on religion. It teaches how spiritualism is different from religion and how it is important to be spiritual rather than religious. So this was the short of my journey of this garden. And I thank you all for bearing with me to have this thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. May I, before it fades away, just have one quick question? The third but last picture showed these benches around, the benches in this room where obviously the preparation is stirred, right? Can you say something about that? Why are there benches? And
actually, these are the storage areas, Walter. Like if you leave the leaves of the bench, like if you leave the wooden part, you see the storage areas of CPP and BD formulations. So people can sit on there, because whenever we have a meeting, we ask people to come closer and be in certain position, and we demonstrate. At the same time, they could see how the preservations and preparations are done. So it's just an artistic way of preserving.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. Great. So thank you very much, Krishnendu, and also Aurelio and Wahida, for your presentations. I will I will do a little short presentation about the World Goetheanum Association, the advertising block, as they say in the cinemas. We found out that, nobody really understands what is actually an association. It's called World Goetheanum Association, right? And what is really an association? And that's why the next meeting I want to talk about what is association and who could do that. So that's why I asked Helmy Abouleish, and that's why also he came in here today. He checked out in the meantime. He was quite long in, and I was very happy that he also was sharing something. And we're still looking at the date. So originally this was meant to be on the April 28th, but on this date, in fact, he can't do it. So we will probably have to change it. And then I might bring in one other person still, but that will really be about association, and so that we understand what are we actually talking about, what are we trying to do. But what you see already is we're bringing people together from, different countries, from different walks of life, different businesses, and it's about how to cooperate. beyond boundaries of country, beyond boundaries of business, and to find, to find lines which are maybe interesting where we can support each other. So more about that in about 4 weeks. We'll hope to get into a process of understanding what that is. You all have received, or you all, I think, know in the meantime, the website of the World Goetheanum Association. You all have my email. So whenever you want to get in touch, you can go to the website or just email me. So now we'll come back to the 3 contributors and the questions we might have. I'm very happy to see, really, we're just now only 19 people, but I would guess we're about from 18 countries, especially when we count, let's say, Aurelio is not only from India, but also from Austria. And the Massa is not only from Switzerland, but also from Japan, or the other way around. And so Ricardo is Portugal and the UK. So I guess and Mingyu is from China, but he lives in Austria. So it's quite a bit of nationalities that we have around here. Nepal and Germany we have also, and so forth. So thank you very much, all of you, for being here. And we'll go into the conversation. Usually it starts with questions and answers. I have a few, but I'll let you go forward. Whenever we ask Aurelio to speak, then everybody else has to unmute, please, because there's an echo. He has this special sound engineer there, and that's why he can speak from far away, but that means there will be an echo. So who is coming up with the first question, please? Or contribution. You might also want to add something, you, one of the contributors. Please, whoever wants, just go ahead. I think we're few enough that we can do that. Please,
I would like to ask something. Yeah, it is amazing how Swaram has grown, and it has also reached out to so many different forums. I wanted to mention that music has already been introduced over the last 20 years in the operating theaters and dental clinics to calm down the patients. But the kind of music Aurelio brings is something quite different, which will actually have state of health if he takes it further into different sectors of operating theaters. That is number one. Number two, something struck me when I saw the film, because so much of development has occurred since I last visited. I'm wondering, I don't know, I don't have enough knowledge, whether there is any other place in the world which has exhibited sound healing like this, and whether Aurelio has approached, I think he should approach UNESCO to vet this out, because it is an amazing development from the time I have known Swaram. These are my 2 contributions: further development into the health sector, especially operating theaters, and possibility of checking out with UNESCO.
I say 2 things to it. I think the effect of our the music we are using is basically because it goes back to Pythagorean studies. It goes back to the mathematical principles of proportions of music, and I was very inspired in my youth to read Jan Plichos, the biography of Pythagoras, and how he actually employed music to calm people who were in a frenzy, and to bring people up and energize them, people who were in a depression. That was at the origin of this one. At the end of the film, actually, we saw the future. We are planning this Center for the Craft, Arts and Science of Sound, and actually there has been board meeting in London today. The idea is that we bring all the work which we had been accomplishing, and I actually credit our international associations basically for the success which we are having. And that center wants to be a hub. It's quite a big project. It's a building project for about almost $3 million. And we have the fortune of working with the foremost architect of India, B.V. Doshi. He basically, how to say, he's 94 and he designed that center. It was a deep passion of him. He wanted to do it. And we on the verge, actually, we hope that this year we can actually, we have already the foundation stone, but that we can start creating the center. And the idea is that it's an exchange place, a creative hub where people from all over the world, as it always happens every year, come in, they stay. We had this beautiful family of anthroposophic craft people who worked with Manfred Playford here 2 years ago. And I love that process of international collaborations. And when Walter was asking what does it mean, association, I think it's actually building the community, a community of support, a resonance field, that we are all in a similar work of trying to improve the human condition. I wanted to say to Krishnendu, in 3 weeks, 3 of our people actually, they're going to Assam. One person who works in the office, she is from Assam originally, and they're going actually to hunt and resource some bamboo for bansuri flutes. So there's a flute maker, there's a flute player, and one Assamese young person they're going to visit up there to resource. And that's what I understand association, when we can support each other, when we share each other, and then encourage each other to be in this work.
Krishnendu, do you want to give a direct answer or comment to that?
Walter, I lost the connection in between for a few brief minutes. Actually, I didn't realize the question first very clearly.
There are co-workers of Aurelio. They will come to Assam soon. Yes. They're actually sourcing material for a bamboo flute.
Yeah.
So maybe a possibility for some cooperation.
Absolutely. Goes beyond mention. Most welcome. Aurelio, it would be a pleasure to extend any sort of cooperation there. So let us be in coordination. Thank you.
Krishnendu, I have one question to you. From the produce that your produce is tea, no? Different kinds of teas, right? Is that correct?
And a little bit of spices.
And the spices. And how much of that and what goes to India and where?
I call it unfortunately, but this is my company's produce around 99% goes to overseas. And to me, this is a sort of failure of ours to market our product indigenously. And this is a question that is hanging in front of me.
Aurelio, how much of your work goes to India? And how was it in times of the pandemic now? I think it was more difficult for you to sell, no?
If you unmute, yes. Am I unmuted? Am I audible? Yes. I think we have about 60% is in India and 40% goes into export. But actually through the lockdown measures, we were actually only sustained through international trade, because in India there was no movement, there was no tourism. We had jobs in airports, in hotels, in lifestyle boutiques, and because there was no movement, so there was no zero sales actually in India. And thanks God we had actually some contracts from California, from Germany. We're producing those singing stones. We worked on an art project, and those international commissions, it actually so happened that that person from California stepped in. He knew that we would be in difficulties, and he says, okay, now is a good chance to support that work, and we place an extra large order so they at least have something to work. Because that was the tragedy often when, how to say, when people in India, so many companies, they had to close down in the hospitality sectors. They had to send all the people. One saw the tragedy of the domestic workers, which were all sent home, and that created an immense amount of suffering. So we basically, at the beginning of the crisis, we committed and said we will not lay off anybody, whatever it means. We have to sustain that basic foundation so that they also can take care of their health care. And basically it boils down to basic amenities of food and shelter.
I would have a question First of all, thanks a lot again for Krishnendu. I basically, I share ultimately everything that you said. There's nothing that can happen in a farm or in the landscape if the human being is not also, developing and interacting inwardly. And growing with the land and with the practice. It's not the first time that I say yes. Hello, that's the point. But and thanks also to Wahida. This is like really an exciting endeavor that is being pursued. And since I'm a farmer and also engaged in sound therapy, naturally. The clinical approaches and the testing of our wonderful ideas. Sometimes, we should also be a little bit self-critical with what we are coming up with, and this kind of testing our ideas in real life and learning by doing is the question that leads us into the future. And so thank you very much. And for Aurelio really got me excited. We had I think a year ago we had a pretty lively email exchange about the singing bowl, which was actually initiated by Walter. He kind of got us connected, and for one stupid reason it broke up a little bit with probably also the COVID haze and all of that. But I find this how you say that your future views and basically also everything that you do. I understand there is a lot of commercial needs in we want to provide jobs for those who don't participate in the wealth sharing of the planet, and your activity is happening in the world of music and making the instruments. So I know just too well how this being engaged in the business cycles is diverting. It's creating on the side enough confusion that we have to refocus on what we are doing. But I basically have one question, because I like especially the part where in the end you present the future, where you kind of present an opportunity for sharing and communicating and interacting, so that so that we can practically and also mentally and spiritually can grow together. And I would like, I'm really seriously interested in seeing what is your plans, how to be a part of that. So like if you engage into anything from Kathmandu to Auroville, this is a short hop. I mean, presently still the COVID, the vaccination craze is still happening at every airport, which I try to avoid. But please sign me in, or contact me whenever there is something happening of that nature. I'm just too eager to hear, too eager to learn, and too eager to share. Because also, there are lots of interesting ideas that we are practicing with the help of singing bowls that people call sound therapy. And I do trainings in many places, and it's a real passion of mine. One thing is the agricultural healing world, dealing with healing the earth, and that's why I said Krishnendu to the healing of the world is also the healing of the human being is happening. It needs to go together, and only like this gradually we can build up more of a consciousness soul that will eventually transform our existence in a way. So please sign me in, and contact me whenever anything is happening in this respect.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Did you want to say something, Aurelio?
Yeah, I would like, actually, I'm very grateful that Peter reminded me. I think the dynamics, he also spoke about it, because we're in such a dynamic field and there's so much happening in so many different projects. I remember actually that I invited you to be part of the faculty of the center. We just come out from a 2 weeks study group. We had people from different parts of the world here, mostly Indian because the travel is still restricted. For me, those are the most rewarding spaces actually, when the young generation, they are coming in. We have doctors, yoga therapists, artists, designers, DJs, and everyone is basically looking for that new dimension in health, in an approach to wholeness, I'm saying, the health of the individual, of the community, and of the environment. And I'm having actually, there's a young student here from Chile who lives and works in Sri Lanka, and he's going in 2 weeks to Kathmandu, and I said, I have somebody there with whom he can meet and he can connect, and he's very eager to learn, a very beautiful young person who is very active. So let's make it as a bridging point, yeah, and then see how we can continue. I'm fascinated. We both work on the planetary frequencies. You basically worked on the synodic, earth-centered aspect. There's so much to share. Let's pick it up. My main passion is actually for research and innovation. And whatever is coming out of that research, we give it to the local community to produce it and to make a livelihood of it. But my task is actually to reinvent and be innovative so that to keep the ball rolling. I also wanted to mention to Mrs. Wahida, this beautiful work she's doing in I'm saying integral healthcare, anthroposophic medicine and all of that. I'm looking actually at this moment for some collaboration and resource persons, because I'm involved in 3 well-being projects. We've been successfully establishing something in the Maldives, and now work in Dubai in an amazing global project. And basically what I'm looking for, what is the matrix of preventive, holistic healthcare? Yeah. What are the necessary components into it? And I'm so happy in this forum that it's clear the soil and the water is the foundation. And what are the other components within our body? What are the layers of the beings which have to be in constant dynamic balance?
Right. May I share something? Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. And from Abouleish, from Krishnendu, Chatterjee, it's so much of the work has happened and there's so much of richness of the work, and that speaks, right? I can see that. It's wonderful. Thank you very much. And here I have one question, as an therapeutic art, as you know, artistic therapies actually is directly connected to the soul element. And as I know, actually, I have this instruments which I had bought. You will identify it's from you, Aurelio. Like Aurelio, I had bought all these 3 instruments and I use them, and there are different levels of sound. But if you tell, I mean, if I can say that generally they are like low, I mean, kind of heaviness and lightness and in between. The mercurial principle, where there's a rhythmic system, the 3-fold aspect, which I can find from the instruments which I had bought some 5 years ago. And I'm using that. But, somewhere I think you can, clear my fear or kind of skeptical, because I have heard this in music. Music is something where it is open. There are no boundaries, when there is, I mean, we are open for that. And our whole system and the bones, I mean, backbone is kind of whole sonata and everything, these vibrations work. So here, how do you have anything division, like as an art therapy practitioner, we can say there are hygienic and there are curative. And when there is curative, there are some diseases, patients, where we have to be extremely careful. Because it can impact, it is individual. But where the sound is open, how do you treat, how do you deal that a person who may not require this instrument, whereas same room, another person may require this instrument? Right? Somewhere I feel that if I go into the in-depth about therapeutic thing, then I need to have some kind of soundproof room where that person is treated therapeutically. But when it is open, how? that was my question, because you're a master, and how do you deal with that?
Get this space. Yeah, just very briefly, I'm actually also happy that Dr. Vera Bunch is here, because she took one of our most powerful instruments, those sound stones, with her many years. And in the training over the last 2 weeks, one of her students was with us. So it's clear actually in the therapeutic field that the learning never stops. Yeah. And what I'm actually trying to emphasize in the trainings is how to develop the intuition for the field and the circumstances which are there unfolding in that moment. I usually, and part of the most important factor in the field is trust. It's the trust in the rightness in the encounter, in the right momentum of it. And I think as soon as I bring in a concern of fear and doubt, this is also part of the field. Yeah? What I'm not denying the necessity of knowing the skills, and like any technician, any doctor needs to know its instrumentations. So that is clear. I'm taking the tease also from Peter, where he says basically, can we emphasize even more on the learning process, on the growth process, on the understanding processes, because I know that the commercial part of it has its own dynamism, which Krishnendu will, also basically agree to it. There's a certain law which we have to fulfill. But as I'm saying, I think we are gathering because at the core of our work is exploration, research, and looking for that unknown component, which is actually will heal or transform our whole beingness in our individual space and in our collective spaces. So I'll be happy whatever I can share there in its details. We can be in contact very openly and see what there is on exchange there. But basically I'm saying, let's trust. I'm trusting the field of those people coming together and having been brought together by Walter and the association, that we are there because we all have to offer something to each other. We're all part of it, and even seemingly if we're in different nations or bodies, but we are part of one unified field.
Thank you, Aurelio. I'm taking this a little bit. I see Krishnendu is just taking a call because Krishnendu, can you hear me? I was just wondering, Krishnendu, or maybe also Lohit, more from the agricultural field. Are you farmers not also healing? And you could even do healing for the earth, but also healing in the social organism for the people, right? And how is it with those people more engaged in pedagogy, like Ted or Grace or Kate? And also Ricardo is there from both the pedagogy and the agricultural field. Can you say something from that side also about therapy, healing?
I have a very exciting story to share with you, Paul. Since I'm talking only on this particular garden of Chiraidev Parvat, let me confine my talk only on this garden. But this is basically a story that relates to every tea estate of the company. This garden, since I was the first person to visit, and I could see, when industry doesn't work well financially, how the society gets scattered. Is the insecurity that crippled in people's mind that leads to a lot of disharmony, the social conflict, zero respect for anything else, and from there, making a garden a self-sustaining, profit-making garden. The first thing is to change human minds, and this is not easy actually. Like it is the difficult most part from any manager to do so. So I remember the initial days that I struggled there. I actually stayed there for a few months because this was one of the biggest garden that company has, so as the biggest stake, financial stakes of also company was there. And I have seen over the period of time that how a practice which earns them bread, if it is sustainable, if it is respectful, how that change the human mindsets. At one time, these people, they're all engaged in chemical farming. They are using chemicals that leads to their pathetic health condition, malnutrition, and loss of jobs, social insecurity, total collapse of the societal harmony and fabric. And from there, they found certain thing new. Sometimes, they doubted that whether this work. When I used to talk that BD 501 has to be sprayed only 3 grams per hectare, they thought we were crazy. But soon they realized it's not the quantity, but the belief and the spirit that you bring forth in your work, and how do you practice, in what belief, and what you want to have in the farm, what you see through. So that's very, very important. Slowly, it takes time, but it slowly has changed the human mindset. And the biggest KPI that my farms, I always do that, it's just not about asking the manager what's the yield or the different grades of the tea. That's not. It's that what is the, the social, if there is any conflict, social conflict in time in the garden. So that is a KPI of the biodynamic farming. The farm who practice biodynamic in a holistic manner, believing its ability to heal the soil, and by the process healing the human minds, they have this priority first. So farm, actually, agriculture is is a passionate and lovable job. If you be with the nature, it is a destructive and harmful exercise if you practice with chemicals. This simple thing is not being understood by agriculture as on the day. And once this is a nasha. Once a man, they practice agriculture, biodynamic agriculture, understanding it, they have become engrossed into it. There is then only one way. They start loving nature. They start loving their co-workers. They have value system embedded for everything they see. They see whatever their religion, the gods inside the microbes. That's important. The spirituality, we have made religions. God hasn't made religions. We have made religions. Spirituality was always there. We have forgotten spirituality and confined ourselves to religious beliefs. That's the bad thing of us. But when, like, this garden has got Christians, Hindus, and Muslims working together in this particular garden, we have gardens where the gardens have more strength of Christians and one garden more of Muslims. But I have seen the total harmony. The beautiful harmony that, like, that is supposed to be there in only love. Like, this is something you have to think to correlate. It's just not about agriculture. Stainer's agriculture, Barber agriculture is just not a way of cultivating the farm or farming. It's much beyond that. It's the integration of the human lives to the farm, to the microbiome, to the plants, and that's it. So it is, if we love nature, if we respect nature, we got to respect each other as human beings, co-workers, co-employee, whoever anybody may be. Actually, I met a lot of older people who have seen the other part of the farming before this new episode, and they are wondering why this was not known to them earlier. But having a philosophy and having a business is different thing altogether. It's important to, convert the philosophy into business. And at the day's end, I am a commercial manager. So my job is difficult because I have to infuse that, spirituality in the work, which should not go futile, which will not make losses to the company. And there's a very, very thin line embedded in it. So people have to be focused in approach, they have to still believe that what they are doing is healing of the society and doing good. And yet we have to make profit for sustainability of the company. So that's a wonderful journey, Walter. I consider more a commercial manager than anything else. I'm a commercial man. But I have this feeling inside that commerce cannot go without humanity. And to embed humanity in your farms, you have to be respectful for the nature. Thank you.
Thanks, Krishnendu. Lohit, please.
Yes, I have just entered this world of pedagogy after working in a biodynamic farm, a prep making unit for the last 3 years. And I'm currently in Chennai, India, working with an organization called the VXL Educational Trust. So, I've currently worked with, and they specialize mainly with children with special needs, starting from the early intervention stage from about 2 to 3 years, all the way up to vocational, that's early adulthood, 21 and above. So they have day trips and in-farm stays for the children there to learn about biodynamic agriculture, to learn about horticulture. And it helps them not just in a vocational perspective, but also in a therapeutic perspective, because most of these children have a very tough time incarnating, actually being present in the physical world, in this reality, and maintaining that, sustaining that for a long period of time. And in the time that they are in the farm, they have the sense of healing, of grounding, because the farm space itself is providing that, a regenerative space, a space that is clean of chemicals, as Mr. Krishnendu had just mentioned. And that provides a space of healing, that provides a space of growth, provides a space of grounding, and just being rooted in a particular process. So when they're watering, they understand the aspect of watering and what it does to the soil, to the plants. When they're washing the cows, they understand why they need to be washed. So each of these processes, these small building blocks, brings up to something huge. So for them, they understand these rhythms to the point where after a few visits, they know what they need to do at the particular times. So these kind of practices really help, really help them, not just them, but the people around them as well, because they take that back home and they're able to understand rhythms back in their personal spaces as well, how to interact with people. It does take much longer than how you would say, for example, someone who can communicate normally or who can express what they feel normally. But the fact that even they are able to understand it from a very simplistic and very instinctual level, that, okay, a farm is supposed to be like this when they enter a biodynamic farm, is that speaks more than anything I can say. That's what I wanted to share. So this is my experience in the past 1 month. Yeah, thank you.
That was very difficult to understand, Jyoti. There was a very strong sound coming with it.
Thank you. That was a fan. I mean, I was so happy to see that Lohit has moved into taking children on the farm. I knew about the farming work, but to understand in this way, it has kind of touched me that some things are moving where we are bridging, here in India. I know pedagogy is going on its own. We go on different farms, but to have a biodynamic setup and then to have children coming in, especially with special needs and all that, I'm so happy to know about this. And I'm glad that Wahida kind of, gave this invitation for this. And thank you, Walter. And Krishnendu, it has really kind of opened so many things, like kind of inspired what one can also do with what I've heard just now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sounded much better. Anyone? Ricardo, Ted, Grace? Kate?
Yes, I'm just to add to what was just said, that the way that we work here at Ruskin Mill Trust with our students, and the fact that there are 12 centers in the UK, and every center has a farm, and the farm is the heart of the operations of the college. So the students know that that is always going to be present in their lives, no matter where they are and where they come from. And working the land for all the things that were already said is very important from a therapeutic point of view, but mostly from a spiritual point of view. Because when the students are eating biodynamic vegetables, they are transforming their spiritual life. And that in itself is a very important deed that we are offering back to the students. And the students that we work with are all very complex human beings with complex needs. The correct term now in England is children with complex behaviors, and they used to be called handicapped. And some of these disabilities are physical, most of them are mental. And we know that by providing biodynamic vegetables, we are directly offering a spiritual deed. And also for the student, they come from very underprivileged backgrounds, and when they arrive at Ruskin Mill, they are drinking Coca-Cola and eating McDonald's, and that's the reality. And we have a huge responsibility to slowly change those habits and to give them the opportunity to experience that actually biodynamic food will be better for them, not because we are saying that, but because they can experience it themselves. And so there's a social and a cultural opportunity that biodynamic food is providing there, because you all know these stories that the children don't know that a chicken is a bird, and they never seen a chicken before, So they also by planting things and by harvesting them, they see the whole process of life, which is something that for the majority of them to understand that there is a process in life is very difficult to understand unless they actually experience it. And they plant it, they harvest the vegetables, and they eat it, or they sell it in the shop. Because in each center there's a shop to sell, not in all of them, but in most of them, to sell food directly to the local communities. And that in itself is already another second level of transformation, because it is the student that came for healing that has then planted something, and it's offering that to the community. So it's a sense of empowerment. So there's a lot of interesting levels to it. And that's all I wanted to say. And I don't know, I don't think we have much time, but there's a complex question that's been in the back of my mind when I was hearing all these wonderful presentations, really inspirational. And, it's very humbling to hear everything that you are doing in your respective organizations. And you know, and I think that Krishnendu already addressed that a bit, but how does one deal with the idea that what we do, for what we develop, we need money, and it's a big responsibility to take money from a very materialistic point of view and transform it into a spiritual deed. So I imagine that it's a very detailed question and we don't have time for that, but if you can share some wisdom on how you deal with this question, I'll be very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricardo. I thought Aurelio or Madam Wahida could answer it. But I will try to. Is it echoing somewhere? So, you know, the simplistic way of looking at it is to determine what is the profit that is natural that you are asking for. Like if you are asking for a 2x profit, you might get it once, twice, certain times, but your project is not then sustainable. And because the philosophy of organic and biodynamic agriculture is propagated in this belief that you have to project that produce which is the land is capable of. It's like that a cow which is giving 2 liters of milk, you cannot give it a hormonal injection to yield 5 liters and base your business on that. It's not simplistic because the cow will not give that 5 liters of milk forever. Today's agriculture, the irony is that human greed has gone so far, it has been so omnidirectional that we are ready to sacrifice everything and anything just for yield. The food is vacant, is hollow, it's void. It doesn't have any healing nature. It doesn't have vitality. Nobody cares for that. And that is why the consumption has gone up in a big way. Like, you know, so we have to balance it out. We have to make good food. We have to market it that way, that it also, like I told you, the failure of mine, like I can speak boldly of our failure. It's not exactly mine, but our failure. We haven't been able to make the Demeter products affordable to common. This is a failure of our part. Now, this done because, you know, if we talk about societal development, so we are talking about develop a society directly, because once you are in Demeter farming, you are basically asking for a closed economy, circular economy, and that is very much there. But also we have to believe that to physical development of human beings that is staying in your property or in the adjacent areas, they have to have that vital food with vitality, and that is possible when Demeter farming becomes a mass proposition. People make it, people eat it, they consume it, they feel the goodness of it, and that is the transformation of the society we're looking at. To answer the question directly, Ricardo, you know, like it's a very, very tough job from our side, because as an organization, we also feel the brunt of different issues like COVID and the COVID situations, the extra logistic cost, all impacted the business very, very drastically badly. But it doesn't translate that I should hike my prices of the commodity, which has been reaching to our customers for many, many years. So you have to draw a fine line that how much yield that you're expecting, and from that, how much money you want to take back home and to recycle from the development of the society, and also just to have profit, pure profit. That's a thin line is based on your company's performances. I guess there is no such defined way to define it, but one broad line is there. You know, the greed must not, like our expectation must not exceeds the normalcy of what is logical. So this is interesting actually. The question is, you are sure, Ricardo, we can discuss along on this, because you know, like we have a concept of true cost accounting, which give a better perspective for our company's finances. We just not look at the balance sheets at the year end. So we also look at the true cost accounting of the company. So this is in that we are happy. And of course, we all consider the work in progress. But as a business developer, this is my prime importance to have a full stop to the greed, of which is normal to occur in human minds often, more than often, actually. Thank you.
We're going slowly towards the end of this evening, which it is here, already in India, already now also evening. Aurelio, I think you wanted to share something still. Is that correct?
Yeah, Siegfried, can I just address Ricardo's question? There is a book relating to various experiences from various countries by Ulrich Roche. Either Aurelio might have read it or you might have read it. Do you remember Ulrich Roche?
Yes, he was in.
I tried to look at the book just now. I can't find it quickly. He has taken the various experiences in certain parts of the world to address this question: how economy can be metamorphosed into spirituality, like the banana plantation in Jamaica and various other things. I think Aurelio is shaking his head, so he might be able to remember the name of the book. Otherwise, I have to look later and post it.
Actually, even I co-authored a book, which is, but it's appeared only in German. It's called Spirit is Capital. How about you, Aurelio?
What for me, a beautiful learning in Auroville was because we have an approach of integral yoga that actually there is no separation between spirit and matter. Matter is just like a maybe condensed, ignorant or sleeping expression of spirit. And for me, there was a big learning also how to say what is the role of money. I was so surprised to find in an essential book of Sri Aurobindo, actually just a few pages, one chapter dedicated to money and the role of money. And I have this beautiful story that actually a whole project was created through a symbolic donation of $100 note. I came basically back from a visit in America and I came with $100 note and there were all these unemployed people and I said, I got the core funding. We can start off with it. And that's how we did basically. I see money as an expression of flowing energy, of an energy principle, yeah. And as much as that, how this energy principle can flow through us and through our activities, money will also flow and abundance can happen. For me, I'm feeling a little bit the dilemma also. We created all the instruments which everybody should be able to play. And of course, we have a very high standard of quality. We're taking care extremely well of our employees and all of that, which makes actually the price of the instruments not affordable to simple people in India. So that the dilemma is always there when you work with high quality. But then we basically say we can offset. We in some programs which we are doing, how to say, we earn more money, and through this one we actually can work for underprivileged and can give some offerings and things. So basically what I'm saying, I see almost money is only a measurer or a measurement way, and actually a very convenient way of measuring where are we at and how does the energy flow and how does energy be redistributed. That's definitely, and the more I think we can integrate that thing which we apparently still hold out because it's occupied by shadow, as it is power is occupied by a shadow, and as how this is sexual, sensual relationship to the body is occupied by shadow. As much as we keep it in the shadow and on the other side it will never transform. But as much as we can integrate in the process of spiritualization of life, as much of it will find its proper place.
Thank you. Wait a second. Yeah. Okay. Wei Mingyu, I will ask you still to say a word. You see, this is India today. Our topic is India, and India and China have a bit of a problem with each other. So I'm very happy that at least one person from China has come in here today. Actually, two were in for a little while, but they checked out quickly again. And Wei Mingyu is not even in China right now, but in Salzburg, no? But so maybe you want to, Wei Mingyu is also do very healing work. He is translating and publishing books, anthroposophical books in China. He's doing an amazing job to make anthroposophy known in China and to provide good and important books to the anthroposophical community in China. So maybe I have a word of yours to maybe close the evening.
Thank you, Walter. I think it's my pleasure to have this opportunity to say some words. I think actually the topics you all have mentioned is a little bit new for me, and I'm not quite familiar with the agriculture. But as there is one guy has mentioned that is a farming or planting is the problem coming from, and also would be solve the problem. But I think everyone is the problem, and everyone can solve the problem, and that's the initiation we translate books from Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy. Especially, I think nutrition is quite important for modern people. I think not only in China but also worldwide. So I'm glad to join you for this event, and also I hope we have further contact and the talk and the discussion. Thank you, Walter, and thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mingyu. And well, maybe to really close, I would give the hand to Wahida. She opened the meeting today, and it would also be nice if you could close it. Actually, I do have one direct question also to you still, that is you brought in a few numbers like 50 centers in villages and 5 this and 10 this. How did you get to these numbers?
Yes. Well, there was something needs to be then concrete. So I just felt 7 years down the line, what would be visibly palpable, when we go to the government and say that, okay, this system, the anthroposophic wisdom of medicine, integrative medicine is available. So where can we do? The village is the best thing because we have traditional there. And we bring this conventional. So again, that is what one thing I just brought this numbers for the, concrete for us to work towards that, right? And yeah, so this becomes, palpably, and people also look at it. As a team, we can work towards it. That's why I said, thank you.
Thanks very much, Wahida. I've still gotten a message here to ask Masa. He's from Japan, furthest east, and the same time, with the exception of Ricardo, furthest west, and he's, so to say, right in the center in Dornach. Anda Maso, would you want to share a word also still with us? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And it was wonderful to hear the whole presentation. Just wondering, I have one question, not only this time, for the next time or future, because I can feel so much spiritual work from all of you. That's I understand, because I came from Brazil. I also used to work in the kind of anthroposophical movement in favela slum. And my question was that now in Switzerland, many major supermarket, you can find many vegetables with biodynamic vegetables there. It's wonderful. Suddenly, only 2 years ago, it's starting. Before, it was quite expensive to buy, but now all price of the biodynamic food is gone down. this is good for consumer who understand the biodynamic. The other hand, what I was wondering, how the people buy this biodynamic food a little bit expensive than the other organic foods. So how the biodynamic farmer or the spirits of the biodynamic to bring to the people who doesn't know anything about this? This is my question. I'm a bit worried about, that we can see a lot of biodynamic food in the normal supermarket, but most of them, they don't know anything about the biodynamic. Just they knew a little bit better than the other. This is the way they buy it. And also we are in Switzerland. There's a near France. France is famous biodynamic wine because it tastes better. But same time, just my question was not this time, how to bring this spirits of the biodynamic essence of the biodynamic food to the consumer who doesn't know anything about. This is my question. Thank you so much.
May I, Walter? This is the subject I love most.
Please.
So I'm inclined to reply it. My friend, this is encouraging that you talked about the product, the prices become now compatible with the non-conventional products in Switzerland. But if you really look back, like to answer your question directly, what is the difference between a biodynamic product and a normal product? The best example I actually have done, I have made a tomato orchard in my own home. And in my locality, whoever doubts it, I give them one tomato to eat. And there is, you eat it and believe it. The tomato is full of, is not juicy, is not watery. It has a blend of sweetness and sourness into it, which is absurd in local tomato. It is watery. So, it's the taste and the longevity of the product and the freshness that it brings in, the satiety it brings into your mind, the goodness that you think that you are having, consuming a good product, that is ultimately to stay back with you. And as far price is concerned, organic products were never high priced. It's a misnomer of the consumers to think organic and biodynamic products are costlier. Again, that is why the concept, which is going to come in a couple of years soon for all organizations to publish its true cost accounting of its products. Because when you go to a supermarket, you compare a Demeter cost of a price, not cost, price of a Demeter product and a non-Demeter product, conventional product, you find the Demeter product is costing you pricing more. But if we add up to the ecological consequences that products have, the health issues that you would have, and if you sum it that tangibly, your Demeter products will stand much cheaper. And this concept is so far uncultivated, unaccounted for in consumptive market, which is going to come very soon. And it would answer, because what we are seeing is one dimensional approach of comparing prices. We are not talking about cost. Is the price tag we see in the product, but we don't think and see the beyond the prices to the cost. So you told rightly, the wines, last 10 years, if you see the wine competitions, last 10 years wine competitions, first, second prizes always have gone to biodynamic producers, winemakers. Reason for it, because what we consume in wine is a concentrated extract of the product, is the concentration of all the forces that you harness into your product and you metamorphosize to please your sensory organs. That's it. Same goes with the tea. So, like all these concentrated products, it's easier to find the definitions. But in a bulk product, say, if you talk about vegetables or an orange or a tomato, you have to taste both of it to find the differences. It's easy actually to understand the differences. With blindfolded, you can make different of that.
Thanks, Krishnendu. Thank you very much. We have to close now. Unfortunately, we have just now, 5 minutes ago, still have gotten a visitor from Vietnam. I don't know why so late, but it's nice to see you. Nice to train. And yeah, we've had an evening from between spheric music down to earth. And from Japan to the UK. Thank you, especially Wahida and Krishnendu and Aurelio, and of course all others for your contributions, and only the very few who did not even say a word. Thank you also very much for being here. And I think, Aurelio, you want to close with some music, right? Is that correct? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And we'll close with that.
Unmute. Yeah, I want to close with, as you said, there was an etheric sound we just developed in the lockdown. I was communicating with Peter. We picked up on the planetary frequencies again. And I thought just to put this gathering and our aspirations in a larger context, I have here, there's frequencies, I will not go into it, they're all heliocentric of Jupiter and the Earth circumambulation. Let's just listen to them and widen ourselves into that larger perspective of looking at the Earth in its whole, basically, and seeing what is the healing the Earth, the planet as a being, as an organism. The planet circling around with us have that larger perspective.